Hi there, I'm Dr. Emily DeJeu, Assistant Teaching Professor of Business Communication here at the Tepper School. And I'm joined today by Dr. Isabelle Bajeux, Dean of the Tepper School. Isabelle, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm so thrilled to be with you.
So Isabelle, you're coming to the end of your tenure as Dean. What's next?
I'm going back to being a finance professor. And in particular, I really want to work on financial literacy. I've learned a lot about impact as in my time as dean, and that became even more important for me. In particular, I want to look at different retirement systems and make some comparisons about what works better than others in different countries.
Interesting. So future research awaits.
Future research.
I like that. If you had to look ahead, where do you think the business school could be at its 100th anniversary?
So I'm very optimistic. I think the future is very bright for the Tepper School. We invented AI here at Carnegie Mellon, in particular in the business school. It is being at the right place at the right time that is really exciting. And for a lot of different reasons, I think that our impact is going to grow bigger and bigger.
What is the next world-changing idea that you would like to see come out of the Tepper School?
So we're talking a lot about AI these days, and it is really changing the way that we conduct business in general. I think there's a lot of threats with AI, and I think we actually need to learn how to use it. And there's a big learning curve that needs to happen. In particular, on the ethical side, making sure that humans are always in the driver's seat is something that is incredibly important. So what's going to be the next big idea? Probably learning how to manage AI to the benefit of humans.
What were some of your highlights from your time as dean?
So a lot of things have happened. And some of the things that really excites me is the fact that we did increase the experiential learning opportunities for students, both here in Pittsburgh and across the world. So we have more and more work with companies in different countries. This year, the students have been to Argentina, to South Korea, to Portugal. And I'm really hoping that this trend is going to expand because this is an amazing opportunity for students to understand how business is done under different culture.
In your time as dean, AI has obviously rapidly become part of business school education. What do you think is the greatest value that it's brought to the classroom, but also what do we still have to learn?
So one of the things that we really need to think about is how to leverage AI for the benefit of learning. And that's something that is difficult because a lot of criticism about AI is that it reduces critical thinking for students. Actually, what we're doing here is exactly the opposite. We have this initiative that we call collaborative AI, where we're creating personas for students to work with. And the professors are working on specific learning objectives and are making sure that AI can actually enhance all of the critical thinking of students.
So, Isabelle, what are some of the leadership lessons that you think you've learned during your time as dean?
I do think that being in such an incredible community is teaching me every day. Being surrounded by such smart people with very strong ideas is something where it's a space where you can really grow and learn. I do strongly believe in the value of listening and making sure that we have enough debates to find the best solutions and to be the best problem solvers.
As we look ahead, what advice would you give, or maybe what goals would you suggest for the next dean of the Tepper School?
Coming from outside, it's really important to understand the history of the school because it has such a deep and rich history that is driving a lot of things that we're doing here.
Yeah.
We have a concept of business education which is a bit different from other business schools in the way that we're grounding business education into 3 disciplines that are outside of business.
Yeah.
And these disciplines are optimization, mathematics with optimization. It is economics, because you cannot understand business outside of the economy. And it is organizational behavior, because both psychology and sociology is driving organizations.
Yeah.
And then we build the business skills on top of that. So these are all the standard business skills, accounting, finance,
Yeah.
operation management, marketing, etc. This is a very powerful approach to business education in the way that the skills are going to change. And one thing that we know for sure is that the jobs that our students will have 5 years, 10 years from now are going to be different than what exists right now.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that our students have the right foundations to be able to learn and relearn in the future.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here. The other piece that I'd like to mention is a culture of interdisciplinarity, which is so important in today's world.
Yeah.
And it is so difficult to reproduce that culture in a university that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Here at Carnegie Mellon, we have that culture. We have that culture at the university level, but also at the school level.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about the school, it is quite amazing that we don't have departments.
Yeah.
And if you go to the space where all the professors have their offices, all of the disciplines are mixed up with a no department policy. And this is something that is incredibly powerful in the way that we approach research, because no big problem can be solved from one discipline anymore. And that is part of our culture. And I think preserving that part of the culture is going to be really important.
We have a lot of experts here and a lot of incredible research being done. How have you worked during your time as dean to amplify Tepper's thought leadership?
It is amazing, all of the research that is coming out of the school. And one thing that was very important to me was the fact that this research would actually find its way to a more general public than the academic public only. So we created a platform that we call Tepper Perspective, and thank you for being the host of that platform.
Certainly.
It is an incredible platform to emphasize all of this thought leadership, making sure that the research is being translated into ideas that are implementable in the corporate world.
What would you say is your most memorable project from your time as dean?
So, as I said, I started in the middle of the pandemic. And one of the things that is most difficult is to find the right branding for a school. But it was the project that I started with, and it was actually the exact right project for me as a new dean coming from outside to understand the community, to understand the school, finding few words that describe the school the best, and a new branding for the school was a really exciting project. So we came up with something that I think is exactly to the point. We're talking about the intelligent future, and we're talking about being data-informed, human-driven. So it's always the balance between data, technology, AI, and humanity, and making sure that humans are in the driver's seat.
So the branding really changed during your time here. Given those changes, what would you say are the strategic pillars of the school now?
Yes, so that's an exciting question because it links to the strategic plan that we launched. And we define these strategic pillars are 3. One is AI for business, of course.
Of course.
Economic prosperity. We have a very strong of economists here and a tradition of looking at business within an economic setting.
Yeah.
And then the third one is entrepreneurial pursuit, where we're in the middle of a university that has amazing innovation all across the university. We need to think about entrepreneurship, but it's a little bit bigger than that. It's the really spirit of innovation and being entrepreneurial in everything that we're doing.
You have overseen a lot of changes during your time as dean. What would you say is the most exciting one?
I would probably mention the fact that we have a very different portfolio of master's programs.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a school way before I came here that was mainly MBA, PhD.
Mm-hmm.
We have more and more undergraduate students. We also have more and more master's programs. In particular, we have an in-person MSBA, Business Analytics program that is working incredibly well. Mm-hmm. And we have a new MSM program, Master of Science in Management, which you can think about pretty much as the first year of an MBA. Yeah. Not exactly, but pretty close to that. Mm-hmm. So we have that portfolio of master's program that allows us as a school to have a really good risk management approach to the market. And, schools are slow to change because it's a lot of processes for very good reasons, right? It's a lot of processes, and we want to be very thoughtful about the programs that we're putting in place. And we want to make sure that there is a market for all these programs. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we have a wider portfolio of programs is going to allow us in the future to better manage supply and demand and respond to markets.
Is there a final message that you would want to share with the students, faculty, alumni, and staff at the Tepper School?
I do. It's an amazing place. It's going to continue to do incredibly well. And I'm incredibly thrilled to continue to serve the school in a different capacity and to be able to watch the school grow and thrive.